Hello listeners, welcome to this edition of In Conversation with ICANN. You know, this program is all about talking with people made India their home. People who have lived and worked in different countries and have come to India to work here and to live here as residents. In spite of all the fallacies of this country, these people love India for what it is. And today, I'm going to talk to exactly a similar person. His name is Edgard Rodriguez. He's a Peruvian by origin. He's lived in Canada. He studied there. And today, he lives and works in India. Edgard, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Before I proceed any further, Edgard, can the listeners hear from you a little background about yourself, a little about who you are?
I was born in Peru, Latin America. I'm an economist by training. I'm very interested in economic development. That's what my career has been all about in the last 2 decades. And I moved to Canada. I've lived in the US, in Philippines. And now I work for an agency that supports research institutes, universities. And that's what has brought me to India.
Excellent. And I read your resume, and it was very clear that you're doing a lot of great work for the South Asian region. Not just India, but Thailand, Vietnam, Myanmar, all of them. Though you're located in New Delhi, do you get to travel to these countries often?
Yes, quite often. Our agency has its headquarters here in Delhi, is the Asia office. And we oversee the operations in many of the neighboring countries, especially in Southeast Asia and South Asia. My focus now is on Myanmar, and I spent a few weeks every quarter, every 4 months, visiting some of the projects in the region.
Excellent. I have met you at least a couple of times. This probably is our second or third meeting. And I must confess, each time I meet you, I find a very happy Edgard. What is the secret behind that, Edgard? Because I know many expats who are usually always at their wits' end while living in India and trying to survive on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, well, definitely it's not my case. Regardless of what you do, you always have to find some me time, some time to make yourself comfortable in the environment where you are. That could be in India, Canada, wherever you are. You have to take some time for yourself, and that's probably why I might be able to convey that state of mind.
Absolutely. Wonderful. But this is obviously your first move to India as a resident.
Exactly,
right?
Yes.
I would imagine that you would have dalliances with India in the past. But when you learned that you were coming to India, what were your initial feelings?
Yes, that's, even though I had been to India before, when we got to that point where the move was imminent, it was still very unsettling. Am I really ready? Can I actually do this? And questions like that came to mind, yes.
Oh, I'm very sure they must have had. India is not an easy country to live in. Even someone like me who's lived here for 55 years finds it difficult every day to survive and revive here and to thrive here. But you are thriving. Having said that, you have left behind a family, right? They have not moved here with you because of your daughter being an adult and her life being there, but they do visit you frequently.
Yes.
Surely they must have had some misgivings when you first informed them that you're moving to this wonderful land of elephants, India.
Yes, I mean, for family, especially if they have not been moving as much as I have in the past, and they have not traveled as much as I have. I visited a number of countries. I've always liked to visit and see other places and meet other people. So that attitude of adventure has not been there for them. So for the family, it was a little bit more terrifying, the thought that they had to travel a long distance to come and visit.
To be with you.
Yeah. So some of them like food, some of them like the excitement of the exotic destination. Still, overall, they are very comfortable in Canada, and they appreciate staying there and coming for a visit. It's a good thing. But yeah.
Would you compare your move to India to very similar to maybe an Indian family moving to Peru? Or would it be different still?
Yeah, probably it would be. It would be very challenging for an Indian family moving to Peru.
I know that. Yeah, but would India be as challenging as that, or probably less?
It would be less. I find that one of the features of moving to India is the sense of being overwhelmed by the size, by the crowdiness of the country. There are many factors that may feel people who are new to India overwhelmed. And that's something that people need to be aware of when they come.
Absolutely. So, you've done well in terms of settling here.
Mm-hmm.
But there are many families who struggle. For future expats coming to India, and from your experience, what would be the 3 tips or thoughts or strategies you'd like to share with them, so that they can deploy it in their own lives and make their lives more comfortable here?
Yeah, I think the first thing that, I don't know if it's a tip, but it's definitely something that I advise anybody, is to ask themselves, are they ready for this move? Am I ready to go into a different place where things are not going to be the same, where I might be challenged? There is, in a number of levels, am I ready to do that? Because if you don't have the mindset for a change, the change is going to hurt.
Absolutely.
And is removing that element. Sometimes people may not know how strong they are, but the first thing is look into yourself, ask yourself, am I ready for a move like that? So that's the first, the most important thing, your mindset. Second, of course, find out all the details about the regulations and the things that you need to know, your visas, try to find out what the documentation you need to be in the country. All of that is going to be extremely important because it's connected to the services you'll be able to use. So that's essential to know. And if you don't know, probably a good tip is try to get somebody who can actually help you to go through that sea of regulations and paperwork. It will pay off. It will be better. It will help relieve the stress of the adjustment.
Oh, thank you so much. Move on to the next question. We'd like to hear from you that one most amazing experience that you may have had or felt while you've been living here in this country.
Well, there are many instances. One that sticks out in my mind is a recent trip to Assam, which is a state that is far away on the northeast of India, and we went on a safari on top of an elephant. That experience, I found it was a sublime experience. Being in a quiet place in the forest, on the top of an elephant, of a big animal, it was like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, so quiet, so peaceful. That experience is just kind of something that I'm going to cherish forever. It's really an incredible contrasting experience from the noise of the cities. And that comes to represent the diversity of India, which is one of the highlights, I think, of any experience in the country.
Great. When one relocates, in spite of being most confident and most courageous, there'll always be challenges. Life is all about challenges. What was that one most significant challenge, in spite of your psychologically positive approach to moving to India, that you may have experienced when you moved here or tried to settle down here?
Sometimes the challenge is that you cannot express yourself And you might find that there's this word, this phrase, this small piece of the puzzle that you do not know, and it may cause you a little bit of frustration. And once you understand that, everything falls into place. So it's the small little frustrations of that it may be overcome if you knew a little bit more local language, Hindi, or if you knew a little bit more about how things are done in the country. But so there's a small little frustrations that sometimes I find it could be challenging. So,
And you still feel those challenges, though you've been here?
No, they start going away. They start going away. As you know how the system works, as you know how, I mean, one of the small frustrations was trying to get the phone to work properly for me and to understand how the bill cycle was working and understand the different packages. I mean, that's sort of like common in other countries, but each country has its own peculiarities.
Absolutely.
So it's trying to find out, once you know how it works, and then that becomes quite easy.
No, you're absolutely right, sir, because here in India as well, being as diverse a country as it is, what may be true for Delhi may actually be different for Mumbai and for Bangalore.
Yes.
So, yes, I understand that is very interesting, but you overcome that in time.
Yes, you start getting used, and we have to admit that now there's so many things, new things that India is embracing, new technologies, new ways of doing things. Making payments could be really painful, and it was painful in the past. Now there are a number of applications. Sometimes they don't work, sometimes they work. There may be a few glitches here and there, but once you know, you have them on your phone, you use them, you feel more comfortable with, then that stress goes away.
Wonderful. So, Edgard, all good things at some point will come to an end and must come to an end. At some point of time, you will return home. I hope that you will continue to visit India as its friend and ambassador, and if not to work, but at least as a tourist. But when you go back home, and eventually you will, what is that one thing that you'll miss the most about this country?
Surprisingly enough, it's going to be the things that you cannot buy or put in your suitcase, and is the sensations, the smells, the noise. As much as you can hate sometimes that the combination of all the things that I just mentioned, these are things that you cannot pack in them or put in a box and take with you.
Not.
So and that's what it represents for me, India. Some getting into the smells of a temple with the incense, some of the sounds in the temple, some of the sounds of the bazaar or the market, and the smells, good and bad. All that, it's a package. You can have the photos, you can have the handicrafts you buy, you cannot reproduce that sensation of the country, and that will be missed. That will be missed. But it definitely will stay in the memory.
Excellent. So that was in conversation with Edgard Rodriguez. So he corrected me at the beginning of this conversation because I kept on calling him Edgard Rodriguez. And then I suggested to him that there are Rodriguez families in India, or Rodriguez families in India, who refer to themselves as Rodriguez. And he was very fascinated with that information as well.
Yes.
I wish to thank you, Edgard, on behalf of all our viewers for your time and sharing great insights into life in India as an expat.
Thank you so much for being so welcoming.
Yeah, I wish you all the best for the future and have a great assignment here and a wonderful life.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Edgard.
Very nice. Thanks.